What's good, y'all? It's Solution back at it with another Mental Gym video in which I give you guys frameworks you can use to become extremely successful and accomplish all the goals that you are after. So let's get right into it. So today we are going to talk about labeling or labels, right? And the definition I came up with for labels is character traits we claim to have to help us achieve our goals. So a lot of us label ourselves. And what I mean by labels, well, obviously based on the definition I just gave, is we will say that we are particular ways. I am confident. I am lazy. I am courageous. I am scared. I am this. Or you will identify yourself in particular ways, or you will describe yourself to yourself in particular ways. And what makes this important and what made me make this into a framework is I realized it is very important you are controlling how you are labeling yourself. You are controlling the character traits that you are claiming to have because we can claim character traits that don't serve us, which is big no-no, because if we claim character traits that don't serve us, we won't do. We will not do. And in order to accomplish our goals, we must act. And if we claim character traits that don't serve us, it will lower the likelihood that we do what we are supposed to do, which are the actions that will lead to our goals. That's why it's important. Character traits we claim to have to help us achieve our goals. Right? You need to make sure you are only claiming labels that are serving you. So how do you do this? And that's where we get into the exercise in which you'll be able to learn and you can think through to make sure you're only having labels or not having labels or you're only having labels that serve you and help you. So the first part of this is awareness. Awareness. So you need to be, or more, what I mean by awareness is essentially what do you say about yourself? So, what do you say about yourself? You need to know what you say about yourself in order to make sure you're labeling yourself in ways that are serving you, right? If you don't know what you think about yourself or how you describe yourself on a daily basis or consistently within your life, it is going to be hard to control your labels and making sure that you're only thinking of yourself in a way that is helping you, right? Because you don't want to just be walking around aimlessly. You want to know what is going on. Because the thing with labels and the character traits we claim to have about ourselves, it becomes very unconscious. Like we will say we are this way. You will say something, a limiting belief, or you'll say a character trait that might not serve you, like I am lazy. And then that will go into your unconscious mind. And then you will act on that belief that you are a lazy person. Meaning you are willingly choosing to believe something that will lower the likelihood that you do what you're supposed to be doing. All because you claimed that you're a lazy person. That's why we need to, as soon as possible, identify what we say about ourselves. And there's two ways that you will do it. You will either say it to yourself in your own mind, your internal monologue. Like you'll say it to yourself in your own mind. Like when you're going throughout your day or your life or whatever, like you say things about yourself to yourself. You're like, oh, I'm confident, or I'm courageous, or I do what I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm patient, or whatever, right? You will say these things to yourself. So you need to start being really locked into those I am statements. When you say, I'm even gonna add that. Like you need to be really locked in to those I am statements that you make. The other way that you do this, or we do this as human beings that I've identified, is we say it out loud. And this is the one that I've noticed is crazy the minute I made it more conscious of me thinking about it. Like the amount of times I have said or I've seen other people say particular things about themselves that does not help them is crazy. Like literally just listen to people. Whether you personally or in your own life right now, there's people who say things that do not serve them all the time. I am a lazy person. I am unconfident. I am uncharismatic. I'm not a charismatic person. I'm an introverted person. You see what I'm saying? We will say these things out loud. We are literally telling the world, I am not somebody who's going to take certain actions that are going to help me achieve whatever goal I want to achieve because I am this way. It's absolutely crazy. That's why you need to lock in to not only when you say I am in your head, when you have your internal monologues, or you need to also lock into when you say I am out loud. I am this. Whether you are just speaking out loud to yourself or to other people, you need to clock it. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is making this conscious. And that is why I love these mental exercises and frameworks, because now you'll be conscious of this and you'll think about this when you go throughout your days. You're going to be thinking, because since you need to build your awareness of what you're labeling yourself as, you're going to be like, okay, what do I say about myself? And then you can go a step down and make sure, like, accurately what you know the scenario is like. You start the statement with I am. You think I am whatever. So now every single time you say I am, you need to clock whatever that belief is that you say. Or you need to clock whatever character trait that you say. You need to clock it. And so once you have these character traits clocked, right? Because this will help you build your awareness. You're thinking about it now, like, okay, what do I say about myself? And then you're thinking even more specifically, what do I say after I say I am, right? Because that's you speaking about yourself and how you see yourself. You move into the next part of this exercise, which is there's two options here. It's like a slash. So it's either you release or change. So essentially what I mean by release or change, well, let me talk about release first, is just release the belief about yourself. Release the character trait. If you say, or you realize after building your awareness by asking yourself, what do you say about yourself? And by thinking about what do you say after I am? If you realize you say I am lazy, you need to release that belief. Or release that character trait you claim to have. Release it. Release it. You're like, okay, no, you know what? I'm not a lazy person. I'm actually not a lazy person. I'm not. I am not. You see, as a disclaimer, I want to add in, you are what you do, not what you say you are. The main point I'm trying to get across with this labels video is that what we say about ourselves still has an effect on our ability to be successful. It's not at all as big as doing is, right? That's why what you do is really who you are. Because people give you these character traits or describe you in these particular ways after you commit an action, not after you say you are something. People don't say you're charismatic just because you say you are. You do things that make you charismatic. So the do is what is important. I just want to make sure you're not limiting yourself at all, right? By adding in the belief part. Because when you add in the belief that you have this particular character trait, it is harder for you to do the actions. Like, take someone who is not labeling themselves at all. And then a person who is consistently labeling themselves in particular ways. This person who just needs to do a different action to get a different outcome, it's easy for them because they don't have to break these internal unconscious labels that they have about what they should be doing or how they should be acting. But if you're someone who is constantly saying I am and identifying these character traits with literally who you are, because character traits are really just skills, because anybody can learn to act a certain way. Anybody can learn a character trait because character traits, as I just said, are based off what we do. And all human beings can act, right? Cool. So you have that over there. If you're just like, I have no character traits or I claim nothing, I let go of these character traits, it's easier for me to just do actions. Because instead of thinking like, okay, so I see when people are charismatic, it will increase their likelihood that they achieve a certain goal. Let's say you want to achieve a similar goal to these as the person you are seeing and they're acting charismatic. You're like, okay, so I should be charismatic too. But instead of thinking or claiming the character trait, you just do what they do. When you walk into a room, you address everybody in the room. You look people in the eyes, you shake their hands firmly. Like, you will just learn the action and not just label yourself the belief. You will do what you need to do. And that's why it's so important that when you have and you're aware of a character trait that you have that is actually limiting you, or you're aware of the fact that you're claiming a character trait that's actually limiting you, just release the character trait. Release it. You're not lazy because you say I am lazy or I am not lazy. You are lazy because you don't do what non-lazy people do. So just release the belief, because quite honest, or release the claim about the character trait that you're making, because honestly it doesn't matter. What you do is what matters. Don't give yourself a random handicap for no reason. Just get rid of the character trait that you claim to have, that you say that is limiting you, whether that be that you're arrogant, or you have a high ego, or you're really prideful, or you're really greedy, or whatever character trait that you know is not going to serve you. Just release it, right? And then we have change. So there's two routes that you can take this, right? Because I'm not saying that labeling necessarily is bad. It's not that labeling is bad. It's that what is bad is that when we take labels, or when we claim character traits that don't serve us. But what you can actually do is, when you get aware by asking yourself currently, what do you say about yourself? And you think about your I am statements that you either make internally in your head or out loud, and you're like, okay, I say I'm lazy. So what's the opposite of being lazy? Oh, you do what you're supposed to be doing, right? You're someone who is decisive. You do what you're supposed to be doing, or you're someone who is urgent, right? So what you can just do is, when you find this I am, or you have this claim of this character trait that you don't like, you just flip it, or you change it to something that will serve you now, and say I am an urgent person, because saying this character about yourself will increase the likelihood that you do the actions that will lead to your goals. Because if you're an urgent person, and if you're an urgent or decisive person, you're more likely to take steps that are going to lead to your goals. Because when somebody is urgent, it means that they're quick about it, they take care of business. Or when someone is decisive, same thing, they're quick about it, they make decisions, they make moves, right? And in order to achieve your goals, you have to make moves. So if you claim that belief, then it's good, because that can help you by thinking you're this way, because it will increase the likelihood that you have the actions that will match. And I'm saying this because human beings, we want to be congruent, meaning we want things to make sense. It's weird for us to say we are confident and then not act confident. You know what I'm saying? We don't want that to, because we don't want to feel almost like we're lying to ourselves in a way. Like, we would much rather say I am urgent and then want to live up to that, because it will make us feel bad if we say we are urgent and we're not living up to that claim. We want to live up to the claims that we say about ourselves, or we don't even want to claim it to be true about us. You get me? So if you just want to change from the character trait you previously claimed that doesn't serve you to something that does, that completely works. That's completely okay, because that will serve you achieving your goals. So you can change it, or you can release it. Right now, I'll speak about myself a little bit. I was more, at least a while ago, into the changing route, where I would figure out anything I'd say about myself that I didn't like, or like I'm lazy, or I don't like to work hard, or I don't like to push my limits, or whatever random beliefs I would say about myself. And then I'd be like, I was more in the changing route. I'm like, no, I'm someone who always works hard. I'm someone who's always decisive. I'm someone who's always courageous, urgent, brave. I'm someone who's always going to speak their mind, whatever it is, right? I claimed and then changed this way. So now that I had these beliefs or claims or character traits that I claimed about myself, I would want to live up to those claims. So I would instinctively go look at actions that lead to being described in those ways, right? If that makes sense. Like, I would go look at those actions and be like, okay, I said I am this, so I need to be doing this, is what would happen. Because as I said earlier, I just want to make sure you guys understand this. You are what you do. You get the character trait by your actions, not because you say. The point that I'm trying to get across in this video is that what you say about yourself still holds some weight. And I want to make sure you guys are pulling as many levers as possible that will push you to achieve your goals. So even though labeling is not the most important thing compared to like you just doing what you're supposed to be doing, it can still add that extra boost to you. That's why I've made this whole framework, and I believe it is important. Because why would you randomly want to limit yourself by your words, even though it might not be big? But over a long enough period of time, if you're saying these limiting character traits, or you're claiming these limiting character traits, you're nerfing yourself, or you're making yourself weaker for no reason. Cool. So yeah, so for me, I was more in the changing route. Like, I would just change the character traits I claim to always be serving me. And that works really well. So you can do it that way. But now I've kind of moved more into the territory of releasing everything. I just release all character traits about myself. And I just don't say I am anything. I don't claim any character traits. I just say I am me. I'm me. I just say I'm me all the time. And I've really had to tune into my mind and train myself, literally the mental gym, and train myself to make sure I never say I am a particular character trait. Or I don't even let other people say I am a particular way. Obviously, people can have their own opinions and say stuff about me. That's fine. But if like I'm having a discussion with someone and they're like, "Oh, you're this way. Like you're someone who does this." I'm like, "I'm me. I'm none of these character traits. I am just me. But this is what I do." Because like I said, who you are is what you do. I just say this is what I do. I make YouTube videos about growth, for example. I don't say I am a disciplined, hardworking, focused person. Because at the end of the day, those labels don't mean anything to me as much as just doing the work. So I don't say I am this. This is what I do. And because I do these things, I get the success I want, or I get the goals that I want to achieve, period. And that just works well for me, because then I am always fluid. Because the thing is, even when it comes to changing the belief from whatever previous, when it comes to changing the character trait that you claim to have, it is still like a process. To me, just want to cut that process in half and just not have the process at all and just release all the beliefs. So I'm always ready to change my actions, because it's a lot harder. This is going to be really important what I'm about to say. It's a lot harder to change your actions if you have beliefs that limit your ability to do so. Think about it. If you believe you are a lazy person, it is going to be harder for you to change towards actions that make you a decisive and urgent person, or that would make people describe you as a decisive or urgent person. I will say that one more time, right? So if you claim to something about yourself, or if you claim a character trait about yourself, right? It will be harder for you to change your actions, because our actions are based off what we believe. So in my personal opinion, I would rather just not claim a character trait and just only focus on what I'm doing, and on if what behaviors that I am doing are leading to my goals. Because if I can then quickly change when I realize, okay, this behavior is preventing me, so then I just change my behavior. Instead of having to go all the way back to my inner unconscious psyche of what I believe about myself, be like, whoa, I'm not a lazy person. When I said I was a lazy person, oh, I shouldn't have been saying that. So I have to break that whole belief before I can actually be able to do what I need to do a lot more. For me, it just helps me move faster, and that's what works best for me. But you could either still just do the release, and you could do it like my way that I'm talking about, or you can just change it if that's what better serves you. And you like speaking about yourself. I'm not saying positive affirmations in the mirror. And what I mean by positive affirmations, I'm not saying you go into your mirror and saying, I am this way, I am confident, nah, that's not what I'm saying. It's more like you just want to make sure, right, you are saying things that are helping you. Because why would you want to say things that don't help you? You know what I'm saying? Right. So, one more time. The mental exercise for this, in order to make sure you have labels that are serving you, is first you are aware. How do you become aware? Well, you have to ask yourself, what do you say about yourself? And specifically, you have to think of when you say, I am this, or I am whatever. Either in your head or out loud, because that's how you'll know how you view yourself or what character traits you claim to have. Once you have done that, you either completely release the character trait if it is not serving you. Meaning if you were saying something like, I am lazy, you need to change that claim. You need to claim a character trait that serves you. Never say you are a character trait that does not help you achieve your goal, right? So you either release it completely, it's gone to the wind, does not matter. You don't even identify with it, right? Or you just want to change it to serve you. You want to change that from I am lazy to I am urgent. So now it will increase the likelihood that you will take actions or you will do what urgent people do. So yeah, that's pretty much my little frame on labels. I know this is also like a really kind of small side thing, but I think over the long term, if you add this in and you add this mental exercise in, you can push yourself to change into behaviors or act in particular ways that better help you rather than saying shit about yourself that doesn't help you. Because a lot of us do this and we don't realize it because it's super subtle and super unconscious. I'm telling you guys, this is super subtle and super unconscious when we say these I am statements. Because we make these I am statements like every day, either internally or in our minds, or we say it out loud to somebody. So you need to build this awareness up as much as possible. And this will take time. Like with any other framework or doing anything else that is great is going to take time, but it will be worth it in the long run. So please give me feedback on that. Did this make sense? Do you think this will be able to serve you to make sure you're not saying bullshit about yourself that doesn't help you? Or do you think this is stupid? You're like, solution, this is dumb. This can't help me. Who gives a fuck about labels? Blah, 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 blah. Drop it down in the comments. All the feedback helps me become a better YouTuber. And also, please, please, please like the video. Boost this in the algorithm so more guys can see this. Make sure they're having labels that serve them by becoming aware, saying and thinking about their I am statements, and either releasing the character trait that they claim to have that isn't serving them, or they change it to serve them. So instead, from saying I'm lazy, you say I'm urgent, so you increase the likelihood that you take actions that will make you urgent and that will help you achieve your goals. So yeah, so with that being said, I guess I'll catch you guys in the next Mental Gym video. Peace.